And so now we have another congressional bill going through Congress. More alarming news against vaping. More bills against vaping. There is nothing in Congress right now, United States Congress, that is for vaping. Everything is against vaping. And so this is the newest one. This comes out on April 16, 2019. It's called Reversing the Youth Tobacco Epidemic Act of 2019. And this section by section breaks it down, and then I'll show you the bill. This is a very serious bill. In fact, this is, I think, one of the most serious bills out of them all outside of that flavor ban bill. So they're going to have cigarette graphic health warnings, as you can see. Okay, this is for cigarette packaging, okay. And then Section 102, advertising and sales parity for all deemed tobacco products, which includes us. This section extends FDA's 2010 final rule on the sale, distribution, use of cigarettes and smokeless tobacco to all deemed tobacco products, including e-cigarettes. This provision ensures manufacturers of newly deemed tobacco products are held to the same advertising and sales requirements currently apply to traditional cigarettes. So that'll eliminate everything. I mean, even possibly even YouTube, because YouTube, you can't do a commercial for cigarettes that I know of. You may be able to. I don't know. I wonder if you could do a cigarette commercial or a cigarette advertisement on YouTube. And if that's the case, then all my, including my own reviews of all the vaping e-liquids and hardware, will need to be removed, or the YouTube, Google Alphabet will remove them. So this is very serious. So this is something that, especially the top tier, the big shots, the YouTubers that, have huge numbers that do reviews. If they don't review, if this becomes law, that is, I mean, they could take one section out, leave one section in, so we'll see what happens. But if, let's say, this section 1 or 2 remains in place, the big shots on YouTube will have to remove all of their reviews from YouTube, or else YouTube will do it itself. It will be required under federal law to do so. So like it says, this includes prohibiting the distribution of non-tobacco merchandise that bears a tobacco product brand name or logo, prohibiting brand sponsorship of athletic, music, or other concert events by tobacco product manufacturers, prohibiting offering free gifts in consideration of purchasing a tobacco product, and prohibiting advertising or labeling of tobacco products in non-traditional mediums without first notifying FDA. Now, if you notify the FDA, yeah, very well. They may allow Mark Fagan or Mike Vapes or Nameless or whoever to actually review their product. But we'll see what happens. It's sort of loose-ended with the advertising. It could be almost, it's a gray area, because you could say, well, I bought this product and I'm not actually working for that particular company. But let's say, for instance, there are many channels out there, including Nameless and many others, that will literally bump a product up in the queue. Let's say there's a product from, I don't know, Vaporesso, and there's a product, Wotofo. And then out of the blue, I don't know, Vicious Ant sends a product in, okay? And even though that particular person, Mike Vapes or whoever it may be, was going to do the Vaporesso, Vicious Ant decides to, say, here's $500, bump me up in the queue, do me right now, do a review of my product tomorrow at, I don't know, noon, do a premiere on YouTube. And the moment that money is exchanged, then yes, then you are actually doing advertisement for the company. That's where that line is drawn. So this is word of warning. Keep you up to date on what's going on here. It says FDA is required to promulgate a final rule amending these regulations that will take effect 2 years after the date of enactment. So what that means is, let's say this particular act or this section of the act becomes a federal law, then the FDA will have to go through its notice and comment period. Like I said, it's required to do a final rule amending these regulations. So is required to promulgate a final rule amending. See, so they would have to go through the whole notice and comment period, which can take anywhere from 2 to 4 years. But this is just something they're throwing around. In Section 103, reducing child and adolescent nicotine addiction. So they're going to have minimum age restrictions. So they're going to raise that to 21. I'm going to speak about that in something else. And this would go into effect 6 months after the date of enactment. So let's say it's signed on May 1st of 2020. Then on, say, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. Then on November 1st, it will become effective. And that's across the board for everything, all tobacco products. Now, this is the biggie. This is the new one here. Prohibition against remote retail sales. This is in the Tobacco Control Act. They talk about remote, and this means online sales. Says this section directs FDA to issue final regulations that prohibit non-face-to-face sales of all tobacco products, including e-cigarettes and e-cigarette accessories, given the lack of sufficient protections to prevent youth access to tobacco products online, and the inability to ensure the same level of face-to-face identification and age verification with the remote sales. This provision is intended to enhance protections against underage youth sales. So literally be the end of all online sales, including Juul. Everything online would be completely banned. Now this is coming from Congress. So if this particular section of Section 103C becomes a federal law, then of course the FDA will have to go through the whole process of final regulations. But it will be required. It's something that they won't be able to step around the FDA because it's mandated by Congress. So that's a big whammy. It would end all online sales, every single one of them. It's not even a question of, well, do you have age verification things and age verification systems in place, or you can sign for the package at the door, or no, it's completely banned across the board. And then the other is the flavoring as well. This section prohibits all characterizing flavors of tobacco products, including menthol. See? Now, the Secretary of the Health and Human Services Department can do that, but he or she will have to go through a notice of comment period. But also Congress can literally ban that menthol right off the bat. So this provision includes a narrow pathway for the use of characterizing flavors that decrease smoking should FDA determine that a flavor would be appropriate for the protection of public health. Now, if they think that the flavor out there would be appropriate for the public health, then it'll remain on the market. But that could, like it says, a narrow pathway. So possibly some flavor out there, maybe a vanilla or something, could remain on the market, but that's, left up to the FDA. Like it says, the FDA determines it. FDA determines it. And then fees, this section provides FDA with explicit authority to collect user fees from all classes of tobacco products, including newly deemed tobacco or deemed products such as e-cigarettes. So every year, it'll be $100 million, and that will go up by, according to inflation. So the following year, maybe $120 million, and you get the picture. And then they even put the regulation of products containing synthetic nicotine. This section directs FDA to issue an interim final rule within 1 year and a final rule within 2 years on the regulation of products containing synthetic nicotine or nicotine that is not made or derived from tobacco. Right now, the FDA doesn't regulate synthetic nicotine. They could if they go through a notice, and comment period. But the thing is once Congress steps in, like it says, they'll have an interim final rule, and then they'll have a final rule. So it's a whole different ballgame when Congress steps into place. Because when Congress steps into place, like I said before, many a time, it's the will of the people. Once again, there are 326 million Americans, 150 million working Americans, and only 11 million U.S. or American vapors. Do the math. We are not the will of the people. And what's going out there as far as all the media and the lawsuits against vaping and all, especially Juul and all this other crap, well, we're in trouble. We're in serious trouble. Anyway, it says so. It's got the Federal Trade Commission, and they're even given power to the Federal Trade Commission. Section 201, advertising of tobacco products, advertising of electronic nicotine delivery systems. This section makes it unlawful to market, advertise, or promote any e-cigarette products to individuals under the age of 21, or to market, advertise, promote, or endorse any e-cigarette product without clearly disclosing that the communication is an advertisement. So they're even giving more power to the FTC in regards to the language, in regards to e-cigarettes, as well as other things too, but mainly also in regards to e-cigarettes. Pretty wild stuff, guys, and this is coming out of the Committee on Energy and Commerce. And then this, of course, is the bill itself. I don't necessarily have to go through the whole thing because I just pretty much explained it. So you see here. What it's basically doing is it's amending the Federal Food, Drugs and Cosmetic Act is what it's doing. It's also amending the Federal Cigarette Labeling and Advertising Act, and which in turn, of course, amends the Family Smoking Prevention Tobacco Control Act as well. So right there. So it's giving a lot of power, and it's coming from Congress now. It's a whole different ballgame. And you see it here. I don't have to go through the whole thing, but it's the other thing that breakdown pretty much spells it out. I see they got this word in here, and that's what's going to do it. You're gonna have many companies like not companies, groups like Casal going out there saying, "Oh, let's all get together and write your letters." No, not going to happen. It's not going to change anything, guys. The tide is against us. You could try. It's against us. And these are the fees. Synthetic nicotine, and then the Federal Trade Commission. So it's going into a lot of goodies, a lot of stuff that's going to be nasty. See, the interesting thing about the Federal Trade Commission is they find a violation, they'll shut your entire company down. They have done that. Or put serious penalties, like they'll bring a civil actions against the company. All kinds of dandies are in here. It breaks down the terminology of things. So that's what's pending out there right now for this particular bill entitled Reversing the Youth Tobacco Epidemic Act of 2019. Just want to share this information with you guys. I have a few other ones to share with you. Bring us all up to date on what's pending in Congress. And then we'll call it a night. Bye-bye.